I wanted to be a swamp witch today. That's it. Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Ducky, also known as Ducky Craft. That's the channel you're on. Or Don't Tread on Me, I am a duck. That's on TikTok. I do a lot of type 1 diabetes information and occasionally rants about being a primary caregiver of 2 elderly parents. And probably more often than not rants about not being a parent and having people expect you to take care of their children even though you're, well, not that child's parent. This is a terrible intro. So on today's episode of AITA, can't swear in the first minute of the video because YouTube will censor me. YouTube, the 90s called, they'd like their censorship goblins back. We'd like to keep the Furbies though. Please leave the Furbies. Maybe not. Anyway, on today's episode of AITA for refusing to go to my sister's wedding after finding out only our side of the family were having to pay to attend. So, quick rundown in case you are new to my channel. All I have done is read the title so far. And there is an update to this one. I actually saw the update and was like, whoa, updates. No, I need the original. So I went and found the original and it is a beast. So, I have the original here that I'm going to read first. I have not read it yet. I'm like making myself not read ahead. ADHD. Stop it. And then I will read the update. So upon reading just the title, I'm immediately like, well, no, because that's not fair. Why is only the bride's side of the family paying? That seems really dumb. The groom's family should pay for some of it too. I know the bride's family typically pays for the majority of a wedding, but to expect the extended family, beyond just the bride, is a little, I don't know, my brain's not computing that. If I can figure out how to add the processing symbol, I will, but that's me in a nutshell. Who are we kidding? All right. Obligatory, this is a throwaway account clarification. The username is one change with a bunch of numbers. Love it. I'm very active in a D&D sub that I don't particularly want it to be tied to this situation. Fair. So my younger sister, Katie, quotations, 28 female, and her partner, Chris, quotations, 29 male, are getting married in April in Dubai. Okay, so this was from 2 months ago. Because I'm immediately like, this is end of May. Okay, so this is a couple months old. She has always wanted an extravagant wedding and is going all out on this. So the wedding is happening over 4 days. Wow. Very much not American, but okay. There's 70 guests, but they want us, me, my husband, and our parents, to stay in the same hotel with them along with her bridesmaids, which I am maid of honor, okay, and groomsmen. The hotel is pretty luxe, so with flights, it's costing us just over 2,900 euros each. That's just under 3,300 US dollars. Just looked it up. Chris's family are also staying in the hotel, which includes his parents, 2 brothers, and his nephew. They are well off. I don't know exactly how much they earn combined. I don't know exactly how much they earn combined, but I know Katie is on 88,000 and she is the lower earner. But about 6 months ago, Chris and Katie came to us and asked to borrow 17,000 more. How extravagant is this wedding? They stressed it would be a loan paid over time and said the venue had increased the price. Dubai law was different, blah, blah, blah. They paid this money or they lost the lot. We believed them and I offered to loan 7,000 and my parents the other 10,000. So I'm going to do some quick conversion. So the conversion rate, sorry, my camera's figuring itself out right now, is that the OP loaned just under 8,000 USD and her parents loaned just over 11,000 USD for my US peoples. So long story short, I have since found out through someone else that the 17,000 wasn't for the venue. It was for Chris's family to fly over there? They saw how much it was going to be, didn't want to pay, and refused to go. I asked Katie, and she confirmed. So my first question was, if they were paying for his parents, why not pay for ours? I would never expect them to pay for me, even if we couldn't afford it. I'd have wished them well and stayed at home. And her answer was, because they can afford it. If you can see my face right now. What? She got very defensive and said this was the fairest way she could think of doing it. There's nothing fair about that. Yikes. I lost my place. It's hard enough planning a wedding, etc. But when I asked if you genuinely thought this was the fairest way to do it, why did you lie about what the $17,000 was for and say it was for a venue issue? She couldn't answer because she knew it wasn't fair. My parents are aware and are very disappointed that she lied, but have said they're still attending. But I've backed out. To me, it feels like my parents are being taken advantage of. And if they couldn't afford to pay for both ours and Chris's parents and his brothers and nephew, then they shouldn't have just paid for the four parents. Wait, what? I feel like there's the grammar got messed up there. Oh, she meant the couple. If the couple couldn't afford to pay for both hers, the bride's and the groom's parents. Got it. Then they shouldn't have paid for the four parents or no one at all. And they especially shouldn't have lied about it. That's the big one. They shouldn't have lied about it. Katie and Chris keep calling and asking me to attend, saying I'm making them feel bad and ruining their day. Of course. They gotta twist the narrative. But the whole thing just feels icky to me. Love that word. That's a great word. I'm genuinely an open book, I'm genuine and an open book. Get it? So be brutal. Am I being the butthole here? Should I just suck it up and go? There's an edit, the first edit. Crumbs. There's a lot of comments. Thanks so much, everyone. Just wanted to answer a couple of comments that have come up a lot. 1. The repayment. My husband's brother is a solicitor, and he kindly drew up a contract and repayment plan for both myself and my parents, so the money will be paid off within 12 months of the wedding. If they don't stick to this, I have access to a free solicitor. That's true. I hope it won't come to that, but that's why I have the papers for the worst case scenario. It may come to that. 2, asking for the $7,000 back. I might be a soft touch, but asking for this back feels like a step too far. Like I'm mad as hell, but not enough to actively try to ruin the wedding for a few weeks before, which it feels like, right now at least, is what that would be doing. But hey, give me a few more days to stew. Hey, petty is as petty does. Edit 2. Thanks again for all the feedback, everyone. Just another quick FYI, a few people have asked about Chris's family or seem to have the impression that they're well off. That's kind of how I took it. I'm obviously not privy to their financial situation, but what the limited amount I do know, from what Katie has said, Chris and his family grew up very poor. Before all this, I'd always thought Chris was a lovely guy, but I had caught him in the odd but harmless white lie, things like where he went to school, the type of house he grew up in, etc. I get the impression he's embarrassed or resentful of his upbringing, given their lack of money, and this is how he now values his own self-worth, by how much money he has. Well, no offense, dude, if your worth is based on money, you had to take a loan from your fiance's family. Your worth is pretty nil. My guess is when his family said they couldn't go, he panicked and worried people would ask why they weren't there, and he would either have to say they couldn't afford it or he couldn't afford to pay for them. And look, his past trauma experience is not for me to judge, but if that were the case, it just makes me more mad that they both didn't plan ahead and talk to friends and family about what they could afford before booking Dubai. If it was such a deal breaker for his family to be there, they should have factored in the cost of paying for all parents to attend instead of thrusting a $3,000 per person bill at them and expecting them to rock up. I'm assuming there's a phrase there that I don't quite know. Expecting them to rock up. That just, whatever. OP did respond here to the first comment. Says, not the asshole. I'm far enough into the video, I can start swearing now. Yay! These bangs. I'm going to have to make these micro bangs too, because, like, I stay out of my face! So not the asshole, yet one of many reasons I dislike destination weddings. They're the penultimate egocentric events. And I've been to a couple of destination weddings. But they paid for everything. And I mean everything. We didn't pay for anything. They're expensive. I mean, doing the math in my head. So then OP states, yeah, I totally get this. We had a destination wedding in Italy as well, to be honest. However, before we booked it, we did rough price checks in terms of how much it would cost everyone before we booked. It actually ended up being cheaper than a lot of places in the UK, but also made a list of who and what we could afford to pay for and who our non-negotiables were, in terms of if there were certain people who could or wouldn't make it or afford it, then we just booked somewhere in the UK. It worked out in the end. We had 15 people, and we paid for everyone's hotel room, and the flights were about £240 each. Doing the quick price check. I said pound and I meant euro. But that's about 275 American dollars, which is not bad for plane tickets, actually. It's really not bad. So we counted that as everyone's gift to us, as we figured after travel, gifts, etc., it probably wasn't far off what people would pay to attend a local wedding. You're not wrong. But I didn't expect Katie to do the same, as I knew she was having 70 people, and at the end of the day, it's her wedding. Yikes. Okay, let me see if there's... Okay, OP did respond to this one, and then I'll stop here. Oh, there's a couple of responses here. I went too far. Okay, so then the question is, wait a second. Not only are they not paying for your parents, they're having your parents pay for this. That's like a double whammy. Stay out of my face, Wig. I don't know if you should go or not. Your choice will have a long-lasting impact on your relationship with your sister. Only you can decide if that's worth salvaging. OP states, I don't want to lose my sister over this, and I don't want to be that person who says it's the principle of the situation, but honestly, it really is. And then Rita responds to her, lying and manipulating you and your parents out of 17,000 euros is not a small thing. It's not normal, and it's going to get worse. How long are you going to let her continue to use and lie to you? And then OP responds with, honestly, this is so out of left field for her. I've never known her to do anything like this before. It's still sinking in. Makes me wonder how much is the fiance, how much is Chris impacting that. So my immediate thought, and I'll give the update in a sec because I got to back up to it, is that no, definitely not the asshole, and that's what Reddit had decided, because that's just weird. Like, in my initially when I read the title, it was like she's only having her side of the family, so she's only asking her friends and family to pay for, like, meals and travel. But they're paying for his side of the family. That feels weird. But then it's so much deeper than that. There were loans taken out by the bride from her family. Well, I mean, the bride took out loans from her family. So they're personal loans. They're like family loans. But still, then that starts to feel really icky when they lied and said it was about the venue, and it wasn't for that. It was to pay for the fiance's family to come to a destination wedding. If the fiance's family couldn't afford to go to a destination wedding, then don't do a destination wedding. Or, okay, my idea of a destination wedding, honestly, is to have a wedding in a vineyard in Napa Valley, California. I'm just... Boyfriend, if you watch this, hint, big hint there. He's going to be like, I'm sorry, what now? And the honeymoon can be on an Amtrak train. I am a simple person. Yikes. So... yeah, definitely not the asshole. Bride is definitely out of line, and I'm wondering how much the groom is influencing the bride's behavior, if this is really out of character for her. So now for the update, which as of filming this is less than 12 hours old. Again, the user's name is one change and a bunch of numbers after that, so going to give her a teeny bit of anonymity, even though it is also a throwaway account. So she states, I had a lot of messages at the time of posting asking for an update on what I decided to do, so I did want to check in. So in short, I didn't end up going to the wedding. Katie and Chris basically harassed me constantly until a few days before they were due to fly out. I received a belligerent voicemail from Katie saying if I didn't go, I wasn't her sister anymore. Wow, rude. I was embarrassing myself and her and Chris. I was a horrible person, and most shockingly, if I didn't go, then her and Chris wouldn't be paying me or my parents back for the money we loaned. So basically trying to blackmail me. She would say it was a gift. I faked the contract, and I would have to take her to court. Okay, but that's going to cost you money on top of having to pay it back, milady. Where are they? She was clearly drunk at the time. The voicemail was left on the night she was having her at-home hen do, which I'm assuming means bachelorette party, which I also obviously didn't attend, but it was so beyond anything I thought she was capable of. I ended up sharing it with my parents, and they also reluctantly pulled out of attending. Ooh. Oops. Bad bride. Bad bride. I heard through friends and family in attendance at the wedding after her and Chris After her and Chris were telling everyone I had alienated her and from her family and told lies to our parents. We gifted money and expected them to pay for us, etc., etc. And they made the decision to uninvite myself and my husband. Oh, yep, narrative switching. Oh, yeah, can't admit that they done did fucked up. Other more insulting things were said that I don't particularly want to go into. Suffice it to say, they were very hurtful. So, I'm going to hold my thought till the end here. As I mentioned in my post, I had my brother-in-law, solicitor, draw up a contract for repayment for both myself and my parents. That was smart. What was supposed to be the first repayment date passed without word from either of them. So brother-in-law picked up from there. Good man. His attempts to reach them were ignored apart from one email from what I think was a fake law firm outlining the money was gifted, big quotations. The contract was fraudulent, big quotations, and to take them to court, basically. In response to that, my brother-in-law sent a copy of the voicemail Katie left and a final demand outlining the payment plan was now null and void, and we wanted the money in full within 30 days, or we would indeed be going to court. Magically, the full amount appeared in our accounts 5 days later. That means they did not want to go to court. Again, I've heard on the grapevine since the wedding that they have been telling anyone who would listen we asked for our gift back out of the blue and disowned them and how much of a difficult financial position they are in now because of this. They shouldn't have had a destination wedding. So that's that. I can't see myself having a relationship with her after this, which is devastating, but at the same time, I truly believe now after everything that this isn't my fault. I held my thought. Thanks again to everyone who gave great advice. I hope this update is enough for everyone who asked for one. So I will read the comments here in a second. There's a comment that OP responded to, and I love it when the OPs respond. That's a good way for your sister to end up no contact with the family. So that's, and it's always money. It's not always money, but frequently it's money. That's basically, she had it in her head that she could just take advantage and you guys wouldn't stand your ground. It never occurred to her that her family might actually stand their ground. She's done this to herself, but rather than admitting that she fucked around and found out, again, I'm far enough into the video I can swear a little bit, rather than admitting it, she just has to do the narrative switch and play the victim. And she's going to tell all the friends and family that, it's my fault. Well, unfortunately, I do see this as Katie. Big quotations there. That's not really her name. Her and Chris are going to have a kid, potentially, and they may cut the family out of the child's life and tell lies to the child growing up that, well, they put us in such a hard spot. You guys decided to have a destination wedding. You guys took a loan from your family. That was really smart of OP to have the solicitor draft up a contract and make sure that they would be held accountable. Almost like she had some foreshadowing. Tells me that even though she's saying it's very out of behavior for her sister, how out of behavior? Like I feel like if you have that foreshadowing, if you have that knowledge, there were hints. There was stuff there. So the first comment says, I'm a petty person. I would upload her message to all of social media sites and tag her in them so people can hear in her own words how she was going to lie about all of that. You were not the asshole then, and you are still not the asshole. And OP responds back, everyone who has let me know what they've said has had my back and called her out on her lies without my needing to fill them in even. She's doing enough damage on her own. At this point, I think the best thing I can do is just let them dig their own grave and stay silent. And there's also something to that. I mean, very much so. As long as people understand that there's some inaccuracies to what she's claiming, absolutely. Just stay quiet, because there's no reason for you to add fuel to the fire, right? The next comment says, I'm sure this marriage will last forever. And OP says, we'll see. Oh, that's another good point. And I'm going to slightly predict it. This marriage is a marriage, big quotations. It's going to last probably until the first kid comes along. Gonna throw that there because that's how these marriages seem to go. First kid's gonna come along and they're gonna find out how hard it is to actually, stay married and have kids. And I've kind of seen this trend with other people. So I love that we'll see. And then OP's sister is gonna go crawling back to her family and going, but I'm now a single mom and I need help. And that baby will become her crutch. I hate to be that way, but I know too many parents that their babies became their crutches. Oh, Okay, I see another one OP has responded to, and then we'll stop. Dominant Peanut. Oh, that's a cute name. I love it. I think the worst part of this whole story is that if Katie had just been straight up and said, hey, we really want this for our wedding. His parents can't afford it. We're willing to pay so they can attend. We just don't have the cash on hand with all the other wedding expenses. Can you loan us money and we'll pay it back after the wedding? Agreed. OP sounds like they would have been cool with it. Not the asshole. And then the response to that is, I don't know. OP kept on about how if they paid for one set, they should be paying for the other. I agree, though, that the problem was in the lying. And of course, all that follows is inexcusable. And then OP responded, you're right. I would have happily loaned the money as long as it was fair to both sets of parents. Part of the reason I was upset was because I thought they were taking advantage of our parents, of hers and OP's parents. Yeah. And then OP responds to the original thread, which is that they would have been cool with it. Honestly, if she would have asked me in the beginning, I would have said yes to the loan, provided they paid for our parents as well as Chris's. Part of the reason we got into this mess is because I thought she was taking advantage of our parents because, as she put it, they can afford it. And that response, and I've heard that response too many times, and it makes me mad. Why? Why do people... Well, but you can afford it. How dare you make an assumption like that? That's the gall of some people. So, let's do some house cleaning, because I didn't do it at the beginning of the video. I don't think. It's been a minute. Like, subscribe, comment something. Comment Swamp Witch. I made that joke. I love this wig. I've had it for a while. I just don't get to wear it that often. So, thanks for hanging out. I will be back next week. I upload every Tuesday around 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, aka Los Angeles time, which I'm nowhere near Los Angeles, but I am in that time zone. I don't know, work with me there. And this was a longer one, but updates, so thanks for hanging out, and I'll be back next week. Later, peeps.